Good day. This is Donna Brown from DB Tax Solutions coming to you again with some tips and information from the tax world. We are in full swing for tax season 2023. So I have been getting a lot of this questions. Why is my refund lower than last year? And why am I not getting this credit and this other credit in my tax return this year? So there is explanation to the madness. So I'm going to share that with you on what are those tax changes that are currently impacting your 2022 tax return. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go through them one by one. So I am using this article in TurboTax blog website, which is clearly laying out all these differences. So in March 11 of 2021, going right along, the American Rescue Plan was enacted. And that was basically a lot of taxes were changed to be able to provide more money in our pockets for the citizens to have more tax credits and tax breaks. So let's go ahead and go through this changes in the child tax credit, child dependent care credit, earned income credit, recovery rebate credit, which is also known as the stimulus, self-employed sick and family leave credits, and charitable donations. So let's go ahead and go through those one by one. So as far as the child tax credit, back in 2021, they increased the credit from $2,000 to $3,600, right, for each child under 6. And then if you're 6 to 17, the child tax credit increased from $2,000 to $3,000, all right? And it was also the first time where your 17-year-old was given a child tax credit. Now, in the prior tax laws, before 2021, if your child is 17 years old and a few days or a few months or a few weeks old by December 31st, then you don't get the child tax credit. In 2021, if you're 17 years old and a few days older, basically if you're under 18, you get the child tax credit. Okay, this was also a fully refundable, which means that whether you got a tax liability or not, it goes into your pocket. You got it as a refund, no matter what. So it was also the first time where we were getting the advance payments of child tax credit. I have 3 kids, so I was getting the monthly from June to December of 2021, those monthly direct deposit from the IRS for the child tax credit. So many of you have received those, and then you were eligible to get the full credit at your if your income was under 150,000. So they increased that threshold for a married filing joint. Okay, so now going into 2022, these are the changes that's affecting your tax return. It's going back to the pre-COVID tax laws as far as child tax credit goes. So it says that instead of 3,000 or 3,600, you're now getting only the 2,000 child tax credit. And if your child is age 17 and a day older at your end of 2022, then you do not get that child tax credit for your 17-year-old. It is also only refundable after 1,400, but no longer fully refundable, which means that if you have tax liability, it can be applied to that credit. But if you don't get to use up part of this credit, majority of this credit. And we no longer have that advance monthly payment of our child tax credit. And the credit is available if you earn up to 200,000 as a single taxpayer or head of household, or joint of 400,000. Okay, so that's one big difference with that not being refundable. That could impact your tax return. Whereas in 2021, you can get it as refunded to you whether or not you have tax liability. All right, and the other one is child and dependent care credit. There are some changes there as well. In 2021, it has increased the threshold. So you could get a credit of 50% of 8,000 expense, 4,000 in each child care expense under 13 years old. All right. So that's a biggie. It also was refundable if you lived in the US. All right. So let's go to 2022. Now that is no longer 4,000 per child. Instead, it's 1,050 for childcare expenses. So that's a huge difference. All right, that may be impacting your tax return. So the earned income credit is another one. In 2021, workers without kids nearly tripled the maximum credit for those without kids. Eligibility was also extended for a wider range of filers, allowing taxpayers without kids to qualify if they were over 65 or between the ages of 19 and 25. In 2022, the age requirements reverted back to pre-COVID tax laws, where you had to be at least 25 years old if you don't have kids, or under 65 to claim the credit. Okay, and also in the 2021, we could elect to use, could I use the AGI for 2021 or 2020 to give me a better earned income credit? You have that option to choose between the 2 year, whichever income is higher under the threshold. But in 2022, you only have the 2022 year to elect as income to qualify for your earned income tax credit. You can't choose between which prior year is higher. Okay, so then the recovery rebate credit, obviously we don't have the stimulus in 2022, so you don't have that perhaps adding to your tax return if you didn't get it like it was in 2021. And of course, if you haven't filed your 2020 or 2021 tax return, you may go ahead and file those before it's too late, so you can claim your earned income credit. Just a side note, there is an expiration to tax refund 3 years after the filing deadline. If you don't file your tax returns and you do get a refund, it will expire. So I encourage you to file your tax return. All right. And then one biggie here is the donations. Many of us use the standard deductions in the prior years and in current year, but in the prior year, you can use the standard deduction and still claim a credit for your donations on a separate deduction. So that existed in tax year 2021. And in 2022, we no longer have that extra credit above and beyond the standard deductions that are given to us. So these are the major changes in tax laws in 2022 that are impacting your tax return and maybe causing it to be significantly or slightly lower and different from your prior year. So tax laws 2022 is reverting back to the pre-COVID tax laws. Those are the major changes in those tax credits. So if you have any further questions, again, this is Donna from DB Tax Solutions. Happy to chat with you and connect with you if you have any questions, and we would be happy to serve you with tax prep, tax planning, and investment or financial tax services. Again, until next time, this is Donna from DB Tax Solutions.